Okay, what that says is standard form. Today we are going to be looking at the type of linear equation that's called standard form. We already are supposed to know two forms: slope intercept form, otherwise known as y equals mx plus b. If you have slope intercept form, you should be able to look at the equation and tell me that fast what the slope and y-intercept is. Can you tell me that fast what that the slope is 5 and the y-intercept is -10? And you should be able to take that and graph it. Sometimes this is called our graphing form. The other form that we have learned so far is point slope form. And you use point slope form for obvious reasons. When you have a slope and a point and a slope, that's when you use the point slope form. Standard form looks like this. And the reason we have different forms is this form is better for graphing, this form is better when you have a point slope, and we'll learn in just a minute what the standard form is best for, but this is what standard form looks like. Now, since this is math, there's some rules to go with it. The A must, does that say if you want it to be? No, it must be a positive integer. A positive integer would mean a whole number greater than 0. The B doesn't have to be positive, but it must be an integer. C must, that should have said B, be I can't spell today. I can't spell any day, but it's worse today. A, B, and C have to be integers. A has to be a positive integer. They have to be whole numbers. You should like this. There's no fractions involved. I'm waiting a second. Some people are still copying this. Okay, if you don't have this, skip a couple of lines and then you can go back and fill it in. So, first example, write the equation of a line in standard form for this table. One, 2, 3, 5, 7, 9. So, I can't take this table and go directly to standard form. I'm going to have to take this table and first use the point slope form and then change the point slope form to standard form. So, it doesn't matter what form that you use, you need to have a slope. And so the slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. If you have points, or if you have a table, which is just another way to write points, you need to start with the formula. And so the y numbers go on top. And so this is going to be 7 minus 5, 2 minus 1. And you always reduce the slope to reduced form. Okay, now that we have a slope, the table is just a bunch of points, minus y1. So I'm going to use this formula next, and I am going to use this point. Remember that the y's go with y's. The slope is that number I figured out right there. And x goes with x. This is a positive 1 and 5 in the table. It's a negative 1 and 5 in the formula because of the formula having negatives. Now, is that in standard form? AX plus BY? No. So I have to change it to standard form. The first thing I have to do is distribute. Now, standard form starts with x on the left-hand side. Is x on the left-hand side? So I need to move the x to the other side of the equation, so I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides of the equation. And I've run out of room on my paper here, so I'm going to have to turn to the next page. So that's going to be minus 2x plus y minus 5. The 2x's are going to cancel, and that's going to be minus 2. Now, ax plus by equals c. That's the form that I am going to. The c is whole numbers without any variables, so this 5 needs to get over here. How am I going to get the 5 from here to here? The opposite of subtract 5 is add 5, so that will be canceled out. Now it's in almost standard form. The x is first, and then the y, and then the 3. But what did I tell you about the a? It has to be what? Positive, is it? How do I make it positive? I needed to divide by negative 1 to cancel out that negative 1. When you divide, you must divide everything. Now it is in standard form. In standard form, the x comes first, and it must be positive coefficient. Y, C. Example number 2. Write the equation in standard form if you're given a graph. 1, 2, 3, 1. This point right here is 3, 1. this point right here is 2, -2. And this line that connects them, is it going to have a positive slope or negative slope? This line is going to have a positive slope. When you are given a graph, I can use my slope formula, but it should be easier to count rise over run. 1, 2, 3 over 1. It is a positive 3 over 1. That reduces to 3. Was there a question? Now, I don't have standard form yet. I have some points. I have some slope. So I'm going to fill in my point slope formula. It doesn't matter which point you use. When I convert it to standard form, it's going to be the same. So I'm just going to use this first point. Y minus 1, make sure y goes with y. The slope is 3. Make sure x number goes with x. These are positive points. When they go into the equation, they're negative because of the negatives in the equation. That's not standard form. What do I do? 3x minus 9. In standard form, the x has to be on the left-hand side of the equation, so I need to get x to the left-hand side of the equation, so I need to subtract 3x from both sides. I need the constant terms on the right-hand side of the equation. I need the 1 on the other side. The opposite of minus 1 is add 1 to both sides. Now, I made a math mistake. What did I do? It was wrong. What kind of 3 was that? Can I just forget about it? No. And so in standard form, it has to have a positive number to start with. How am I going to get a positive number? I'm going to divide everything by -1. And again, I'm running out of room on my paper, so I'm going to write it over here. 3x minus y equals positive 8. Do I have all whole numbers coefficients? Do I have any fractions? No fractions. Good. And this has to be a positive number to start with. Example number 3, write in standard form. Y equals 2/3 x plus 1. This is in slope-intercept form. This is in y equals mx plus b form. You should be able to look at it and tell me exactly what the slope is and exactly what the y-intercept is. Can you tell me what the slope is? 2/3, positive 2/3. Can you tell me what the y-intercept is? Could you graph it? Okay, but is it in the right form? The first thing that we need to do is get rid of the fraction, because standard form does not have any fractions. How do you get rid of the fraction? We're going to multiply by the denominator. What's the denominator? If I multiply by 3 on this side, what do I have to do on the other side? This is going to make 3y equals 3 times 2/3 x plus 3, because that's got to distribute. Now, I took an extra step here to show you that the reason that I'm just doing this is so that that will cancel. So this makes 3y equals 2x plus 3. In standard form, the x has to be on the left of the equal sign. Is it? So I have to subtract this from both sides. Can I combine that and make 5y or maybe a 1y? Can these combine? These are not like terms, so it's minus 2x plus 3y equals 3. That's almost standard form. What do I have to do to finish it? In standard form, you have to start with a positive number. If this is not positive, you have to divide everything by negative so that you will have standard form, and the a must be positive. Now, we started with y equals mx plus b form. That's the form that we use for graphing. Well, what do we use the standard form for? Standard form makes it easy to find the, not just the y-intercepts, but the x and y-intercepts. If we have standard, actually, it doesn't matter what form, whatever form it is, you find the x-intercept by substituting 0 like that. 0 for, or you can put replacing. To find the x-intercept, you replace the y with a 0. To find the y-intercept, by substituting or replacing So if you want to find the x-intercept, you replace the other one with a 0. If you want to find the y-intercept, you replace the letter with 0. Do you need another minute to copy that? Example number 4. This is in standard form. To find the x-intercept, you let the y be equal to 0. What's 6 times 0? This zeroes out. And so you get 3x plus 12. What do you do with the 3? Not plus. That's not a plus sign. What's that supposed to be in the middle? It's supposed to be an equal sign. And so this cancels out, and x is equal to 4. If you start with the original equation and let x be equal to 0, What's 3 times 0? This part zeroes out. If you have the x-intercept and the y-intercept, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the x-intercept. 1, 2, that's the y-intercept. If you have the x and the y-intercept, then you can connect the x and the y-intercept, and you can graph the line with the x and y-intercept. This line that I just graphed, is it going to have a positive slope or a negative slope? This line right here. It's a negative slope. And you could count the slope on the graph. This is in standard form. To find the x-intercept, you let the y be equal to 0. If the y is equal to 0, it's going to be like it canceled out. So what is the x-intercept? 5. You can go through the steps, or you can just cover it up because it's going to go away. If this is equal to 0, then x is equal to 5. This is going to be equal to 0, so y is going to be the opposite of 5. So I'm going to divide both sides by -1. The zeros are going to cancel. The y's are going to cancel. So the standard form is helpful if we need to find the x or the y intercepts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we have the x and the y intercepts, then it's pretty easy to graph the point. Would this line right here have a positive slope or a negative slope? Positive slope. And so these are the assignments that we need to get started on this week. So assignment number 16 will be due on Wednesday, but you should have it turned in way before Wednesday. Please get started on assignment 16.